You know, it's kind of an interesting observation that I made from last year until this year. This might not be 100% correct because I don't live in Detroit. I am not somebody who is ingrained in that environment full time, but just based off of my perspective here on the internet as a guy from Vancouver who also does like the Red Wings, they're my third favorite team, and keeping up with the amount of discourse that I'm able to access, this seemed to have been the pattern from last season's worth of play. Everybody in Red Wings Nation and in the primary NHL media spotlight, everybody was excited and paying attention to Moritz Seider and Lucas Raymond. And for good reason too, right? These two were brand new, they were super young, rookies, Calder contention, whatever, and they were doing amazingly well. But when it comes to the other players on the Red Wings, you had some guys that sort of took a back seat when it came to conversations that people would typically be having about the team. When I would see people in real life or interact with people on social media elsewhere, and we'd talk about the Red Wings, it would always be, hey, Seider, Raymond, these guys are doing really well, eh? And I know it's kind of weird to say this, but I really do think that a lot of the discourse around this team was taken away from the guys who were, literally, the top players on the team when it comes to points. Dylan Larkin and Todd Bertuzzi, oh my goodness, Todd? I really just let that slip out? Oh my goodness, I cannot believe I just said that. Larkin and Tyler Bertuzzi were 1 and 2 in points on the Red Wings last season. Larkin had 69 points in 71 games played. Bertuzzi had 62 points in 68 games played. And then you have Raymond, Seider, Hronek, Sutar, and everybody else that follows. Now, for Larkin, there's an interesting conversation to be having about him because heading into last season's off-season, we had ourselves conversations going about as to what the Red Wings were going to do. Pay this man his money or just kind of let the contract ride out? Because for Larkin right now, he is 26 years old, and he's making just a shade over $6 million a year. That contract expires at the end of 22-23. He currently, at the time of recording this audio, does not have an extension lined up. He's from Michigan, he played with the Michigan Wolverines, he is drafted by Detroit, he is a Red Wings boy through and through, and he was the top player on the team last year in points. This is why when you talk about just how much Larkin has been impacting the team this season, I feel like a lot of people that don't really keep up with the Red Wings and who just kind of, see the highlights on Twitter and you see the numbers and the stats and the cool, trivia pieces of knowledge that drop every once in a while, I feel like most casual NHL fans haven't really been paying too much attention to how good Larkin has been, because this season, he's really started to put his name on the map and say, I know everybody was talking about Raymond and Seider last year, but you gotta remember, this is my team. At least, on the ice it is. This is Steve Yzerman's team. I think we can all unanimously agree on that. But so far this year, Dylan Larkin, in the 18-game sample that he has scored 8 goals and 14 assists for 22 total points. That is well over a point per game, and if you do the math, he is on pace for a 100-point year. Now, that in and of itself is kinda nuts, especially when you consider just a few years ago, Larkin had 23 points in 44 games in the shortened 2021 campaign. The year before that, he had 53 points in 71 games played, which was a big decrease from what he had accomplished the season beforehand. Larkin has sort of taken a brand new step forward up into a higher gear that we didn't necessarily expect out of him, but it's a change that's all too welcomed at the moment. This is why conversations starting about when it comes to how much you should be paying Larkin and whether or not you should just sign him today or wait until whatever to sign the contract and how long you should go, these conversations have been kind of steering more and more in the direction that, hey, Stevie Y, get your long-term deal out, man. We gotta give it to this player. In fact, here's a tweet made by Prashant Iyer that I wanted to talk about here on the channel. Since the start of last season, here are the top 10 centers and expected goals above replacement per 60 minutes for all players who played over 1,000 minutes, and I think he's only talking about centers here. So, what does that mean, first and foremost? Expected goals above replacement per 60? That pretty much means the team you are on performs better and they get more expected goals for when you are on the ice versus the team and the state that they're in when you are not on the ice. So what you want to be is on this list. If you're on it, it means you make an impact to your team in a way that is so above and beyond that they actually suffer when you're not on the ice by comparison. Matthews, McDavid, Bergeron, Stamkos, Brock Nelson is 5th overall here, which is kind of crazy when you really think about it. I mean, I didn't realize he was that good. But Eichel's next, Draisaitl, Malkin, Jack Hughes, and then number 10, you have Dylan Larkin, a top 10 center in the NHL when you sort by expected goals above replacement per 60 minutes for players over 1,000 minutes played from last season. Data is from Evolving Hockey, and Prashant then goes out there and says, hey, pay the captain. $9.25 million by 8 years. Let's go. And honestly, I feel like when it comes to this dollar amount, I've been seeing everywhere people are saying, yeah, no, like, do it. Stevie Y, like, why are you not doing this? The first reply here from Peter says, at this point, as long as it's under 10 million, get it done. Then there's a conversation brought up about Tyler Bertuzzi because his contract is also expiring there, so yeah, the Red Wings have a pretty interesting set of conversations that they're going to have heading into the next few months over here, but for Dylan Larkin and his overall level of play, I mean, he's been so good, and he's elevated himself tenfold from just a few years ago that it's really difficult to think of any scenario where the Red Wings don't end up signing this guy long term. At this point, it's an inevitability. It's not really anything where it's like, yeah, no, oh, I'm scared that Larkin is going to leave. I'm scared that they're not going to sign him. It's no, you just gotta wait. I know we talked about the idea of the Red Wings getting Bo Horvat, but come on, you know Larkin wants to stay in Detroit. You know Stevie Y wants Larkin to stay too. Neither side is going to go out there and intrinsically in the back of their mind say, yeah, I hope I go somewhere else, or I hope this guy doesn't stick around. It's just a matter of negotiating money. And Stevie Y, we all kind of know that his contracts have been really good the past few years, so, I mean, it's going to be difficult trying to nail down a dollar amount that is not only justifiably good for Larkin, because, I mean, he's playing at a 100-point pace. He finally has good enough line mates around him to amplify the amount of production he's able to get and actually expand on the skills that he has. But at the same time, you know, Stevie Y has that bargaining power where it's like, yeah, no, I know you want to play here. Like, you're from here, you grew up in the backyard of this hockey team, you're a Michigan guy through and through, and we're not gonna just give you whatever dollar amount that you want, but at the same time, we know that you want to stay here. So, I don't know, that's probably the only complication that I could see going on with a contract negotiation process like this. I really don't think it's that big of a deal. We just kind of have to wait and see. At the end of the day, though, if there is some sort of a Larkin departure from Detroit, I feel like it'd be really, really soon that we start to hear rumblings that there might be some sort of a disagreement that leads to the point of there not being an extension foreseeably able to happen. But, again, like Mr. Incredible said, we'll get there when we get there. But for now, Dylan Larkin has unlocked a brand new gear, and it's kind of crazy to see how many points this guy is able to go out there and produce. Just wait until Raymond and Sider and everybody else in the team is up to their peaks as well, because man, there have been some wings this season. They started off the year not all too hot, but when it comes to the ones that have been doing well, hey, take a look at Trubalik. We already made a video about him earlier. I think it was last week or something like that. Yeah, it's Tuesday, so last week. You can check that video to see me clowning on the Chicago Blackhawks once again for letting Kubalik go and not retaining his rights because they had the right to do that. They just didn't do that. But Larkin is also doing well as well, and I want you to talk to me in the comments how you are expecting the contract negotiation process to continue. Are you surprised with how good Larkin has been for 22-23? He's scoring at a 100-point pace. Do you think he hits it? Do you think he regresses a tad and finishes off with maybe 90-ish points? If he gets 90 flat, that's still a career high. I mean, the high that he had previously to this season was 73 points in 76 games played in 2018-19. He has yet to best that point production in any of the preceding years, but he might be on his way to doing so sooner rather than later in 22-23. But talk to the comments, all your thoughts either way about Larkin and his play so far, and the negotiations too. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj 9, and bye.